Okay, I've now got this mess of wires all here on the bench. Everything's wired up in here. The Arduino is set in place. I've got here the main engine room with both motors and the water pump. This is the dive and surface pump. This is the trim tank, just sitting here like this. I've got 3 servos, one for the rudder, one for the bow servo, one for the stern servo. This is the pressure gauge, which goes off into a bottle of water. Okay, so let's see how it's all going to work. I've got this turned on. I'm now going to turn it on at the switch here. Okay, it's all now fired up. So the first thing is I'll just test the main motors. That's working very nicely. So both speed controllers are running the motors. Now if I use the rudder, one of them throws into reverse, the other one throws into forward through the V-tail, and you can see the servo moving. So that's all working very nicely. So now we move on to the hydroplanes, and if I move that up and down, the hydroplanes, the bow and the stern hydroplanes are moving together. That's fine. Now the overriding issue is the self-leveling device, and you can see this servo is turning depending on where that needs to be centered, but that's completely fine. So that's working. So now let's turn this pump on with the trim tab. That's it. That's all working fine. Now we have the piston control, full swing of this. Yep. And that way. That's all good. Now the pump, the trim tank to the bow is now working, to the stern, that's working. If I turn this all the way around, I'll get the water pump for the gun. Yep, that's going nicely. And if I turn it the other way, it'll be in auto, self-leveling, depth keeping mode. Alright, which I'll show you in a minute. So, let's go into dive mode, which is 2 taps to the left. Pistons withdrawing, trim tank pump is working. Now this is working, that's still working for a while, and that's it. Of course the times aren't right, but the process is great. So now the boat is under the water, presumably, and I'll adjust it to get everything perfect. And once I've got this perfect, and this boat is down at about that level, I'll press this button, take a snapshot of the depth, turn it on to automatic control. Now, what happens then is, as this moves up, yes, the servo is moving to keep it at that depth, and if it goes up too far, I get 1 second bursts on the piston. And if I go down too far, 1 second bursts on the piston, just to adjust the depth to keep it right. So that's all working very nicely. So let's now take it off auto. Let's go to surface routine. Piston, trim tank pump working together, and nothing's happening until the boat comes up to the surface and the pump comes on, and then the trim tank comes on and the boat's at the surface. It all works. I'm stunned. This is great. All I've got to do now is put all of this in the boat, trim these wires up so that everything fits nicely, so that I can still take things in and out. Then, once I've done that, I'm going to put this in place properly, and I'm going to pressure test everything. And once that's done, I'm going to have to look at the weight of the boat and the trim. And what else? And, tidy the wires up. It's coming along very nicely.